Hello again, everyone. This is Caleb Simpson, and welcome to the second half of the Earth Temple. So in the last video, we got the bomb bag and then filled it up with bomb flowers, and then got the dungeon map on the left side of the dungeon, on the west side, I should say. So continuing onwards, we actually have a huge tip on how to progress forward if you have the dungeon map, although if you're very observant, you might have noticed this anyway. You'll see there's actually an X on the map that leads to a hidden area, and there is a crack in the wall there. When you use bombs, though, it will crack it a little bit further, but doesn't blow it up instantly. This might be confusing to some players, but anyways, use 2 bombs to blow it up the rest of the way. This will reveal a hidden access into this little out area that leads back here. So you want to just roll through here, and there's a couple different ways to deal with the magma spumes along the way. You want to watch out for these dragon heads that are spewing lava. You can either use bombs, which we have an abundance of bombs, so that's great. However, if the magma spume shoots out fire, it can hit your bomb in midair, which will then damage you and knock you off, and you will actually land. It'll actually appear back on solid ground wherever you last left land. So if you left it, like, say in the top left corner of the last area, that could be rather annoying to have to roll all the way back here. There is a little side area over here where you can stock up on bombs, and that would be very handy. However, you do want to be careful because one of these soft soil locations does have a red choo-choo. You just want to be careful here because if you accidentally smack one of the bombs with your sword, it will explode. So fill up on bombs and then work your way back to the boulder. Now you'll notice actually the way forward just leads to a dead end where there's like a platform with a bokoblin on it, so there was no way to progress through here. However, if you look at the wall, you might notice something. There's actually some cracks there. Look on your map, you'll see there's actually a area through here as well. So you want to go ahead and use bombs to blow this up, and once again it takes 2 bombs to blow this up completely. Now you can actually chase down magma spumes and just roll over them, however it is a little bit tricky to do so. So what you can do actually is you can stun them with the slingshot, and this makes them totally vulnerable so they just don't move. Now normally that doesn't necessarily help too much, it just stuns them, but you can roll over them with the boulder while they're stunned like that. So it makes them significantly easier to deal with. They often drop hearts and you can actually slash them with your sword to get them, otherwise you can also use the beetle to collect the heart as well. However, before you continue onward, something else you can do is you can actually use the beetle on this dragon head that's up above that does not have lava spewing out of it, but if you use the beetle and go into its mouth, you'll actually find a little, like, zigzagging path that leads to a silver rupee, which is worth 100, which is awesome. And by the way, fun fact is you can actually move around on these boulders while using either the beetle or you can use the C button to look around. And you actually move a little bit slower while doing that, so I think you can actually just hold the analog stick all the way forward because you don't walk as fast when you're doing that. But otherwise, when you're on these boulders, what I like to do is I kind of just hold it all the way forward and then like release it a little bit, and I just kind of keep doing that back and forth a bunch. Although you can just hold the analog stick just forward a little bit, but just be warned that if you run the entire way, you might actually just run off the boulder and you'll jump off and land in the lava. So you need to give it some time for you to center yourself back in the middle of the boulder, otherwise you can jump in the lava and that's bad. So up ahead we need to open this gate, and to do so you need to use the beetle on the nearby ropes of the gears here. Unfortunately there is actually 2 of them, so one of them is on the opposite side. So while standing on this platform, or standing on the boulder honestly, you can use the beetle to fly through this nearby area off to the left, and then circle around to hit the rope on the other side. I will say there is a save statue over on in that little area as well, and you can go there and save if you want. You'd have to defeat the bokoblins along the way, but I don't really think this save statue is really all that important. Like, this next area I think is honestly the less confusing portion of it, and it's pretty easy, and we're going right back to the central area where we just got the boulder in the first place, and there's a save station there, so I don't really think it's necessary to go to that bird statue. Whatever you want to do. In this particular case, you'll see I was trying to run over this magma spume. I was trying to show that you don't necessarily have to stun it, but because it rolled underneath this spewing lava, it made it a little bit more difficult. Most of these dragon heads will alternate between just sitting still and spewing lava. You want to wait until the lava dies down before you get through here. Otherwise, if you do it too late, it might start spewing lava as you're just starting to go across, and then it will actually hurt you that way instead. Now, as I was saying before, you can actually use the C button or the beetle while you're aiming with that, and you can use that to look around as well while using the boulder. And this might be easier for you because then you can look down and see this a little bit better. I actually think it's totally fine to use just the 3-dimensional perspective from behind the third-person perspective. Whatever you want to do. There is some fire keys right here, which you actually can see them from back there a little ways. So one of the things I like to do is I will actually use the slingshot to fire on them as well. And if one of them does hit you and set you on fire, so you're taking damage over time, you can just use a spin attack, and that will take care of the fire and put it out for you as well. Up ahead, there is actually a chest that is on our map just to the left, so you can open that if you like. It just leads to 20 rupees, so it's not really super worthwhile. However, I do like to kill all these Lizalfos because they drop Lizalfos tails as well. And we're going to want as many of those as we can get right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and defeat it. I'm not really too worried about it, although just be careful not to make it fall in the lava. It is one of the things you're watching out for. money, 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 money. Nom, 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 nom. Alright, so continuing onward, what we need to do is roll the boulder into this nearby peg. And what this will do is it raises one of the platforms, which actually has like an arch underneath it, and it allows us to pass underneath it. This creates a shortcut where we can actually take the boulder all throughout this lava area, and we don't have to worry about going along that lengthy path anymore. So this is great. Now, the only reason that you want to go backwards, I guess, would be in case you didn't get that silver rupee that was in the dragon head up above. So that could be a thing. So if you skip past that and you're watching that at this point, and you're just skipping through the video, then you might want to go back and get that silver rupee, because that's a lot of monies. Anyway, go through the arch and then push the peg that's on the opposite side. This will raise the remaining platforms and allow us to continue. Now, if you like, you can actually go save at the bird statue, which might be smart, because we just made a lot of progress and you don't want to go through all that again. So that's everything we could do in these previous areas of the dungeon. I suppose technically what you could do actually is you could leave the dungeon at some point around now and go get a bomb bag upgrade at the shop, which would be something you could do in Skyloft. That's super excessive and I don't think that's worth it at all, but I'm just commenting that it is technically something you could do before you get to the boss. So now would be the time if you wanted to do something like that. Continuing onwards, we're going to go through the next door, and there is this new area where there's a bunch of rocks that fall from the ceiling. This first one has a gap in it. You want to go ahead and go through the gap, then stand in this alcove off to the left to get some stamina. While you do that, then some more rocks will fall down. These ones actually cover the entire distance, but once your stamina is recharged and those rocks have passed, then you'll be able to run the rest of the way up. So whenever you're going through holes, you can crawl through by just walking up to it, but you can also use A to crawl a little bit faster. But otherwise, a cooler thing too is you can actually add cool points by rolling through by shaking the nunchuck. It's way cooler and you save a lot of time. Look how much time that saved me. So awesome. Now, one thing I don't know is if you're currently on fire from fire keys or something like that, if you pull out a bomb while you're currently on fire, if it'll blow up the bomb. I don't know. That's a kind of an interesting comment. I was just on fire after being in the lava, so I was curious about that. Anyways, you can go ahead and dig up the soft soil here to get some hearts to fix that issue, and then go ahead and dig up the last one to find an air geyser, which allows you to get up on this upper platform. This next puzzle, there's actually two different ways to do it. I'm going to show both. So you can lay down a bomb to blow up these rocks up ahead, and you can lay it down, and this will start the timer. So you press A to drop it, pick it back up, and then throw it. And this will probably give it enough time where it'll blow up right around the correct timing so that it'll blow up those rocks. Now that's great and all. If you're concerned about the timing or that makes you nervous lighting it ahead of time like that, another thing you can do actually, it's a little bit easier I think, is you can just aim off to the right and then throw it, and so it rolls up and then it slows down, then it starts speeding up again. By the time it gets over there, just the tail edge of it will barely touch the rocks, and that will also work as well. So I think that's a lot easier, just aim off to the right. Here when I jumped ahead, I almost landed in the lava again for the third time, and so I quickly panicked and pressed B to use my sailcloth so it stopped my forward momentum in midair. I guess I haven't had a need to mention that so far, but that's an interesting thing you can do in this game, is you can use the sailcloth to deploy that so that it prevents your forward momentum in case you're jumping too far, like you're running too fast or whatever. If you don't want to keep going, you can actually use the sailcloth to stop yourself from moving forward. Anyways, jump into the next alcove and then wait for your stamina to recharge and for the rocks to go past, and then run up the rest of the way. So unfortunately, we have a lava fall that's preventing us from progressing forward, and I hate it when that happens, you know? Off to the left, there is actually an amber relic, usually right here, not always. The treasure that appears in random locations in Skyward Sword it's just like a % chance for it to be there, or maybe it populates parts of the map or whatever, and there's like, I don't know, I feel like it's about a third of the possible treasure locations currently have treasure at any given time. So another example of that is just up here, right to the right of the treasure chest, there's just behind this pillar, there's usually a goddess plume. So make sure you check that because goddess plumes are super rare. And as a comment about that, I think that treasure locations have a chance to be rare treasure because I've seen that be an amber relic as well, so it could possibly be an amber relic. Anyways, go ahead and open the chest to find the dragon sculpture. So grab that and then start heading back the other way, and what'll happen is a boulder starts chasing after you. At this point, you can just hold A and then run away from it. As long as you kind of just make sure you're staying in the middle of the platform, it's fine. But if this perspective really confuses you, you can press Z first to face forward first, and then just run away from the boulder that way. But try to get the stamina fruit along the way, because that'll give you enough stamina that you can run the entire way. So here I was showing that if you had to, if you're up here and you're like, oh no, you can totally just turn around with Z. If you're in this perspective, you press Z, and then all of a sudden run forward and you're fine. So that's another option for this, and at this point you just roll off the edge and you're good to go. Technically, I guess you could actually go into that little alcove on the left and then let the boulder go past you too, and that'd be another way. You don't have to jump off, although I don't think it makes any difference. I think jumping off is easier for sure. So go ahead and save at the nearby bird statue, then continue on towards the boss door, and along the way you'll see that the boulder that is blocking the lava fall will now be swallowed up by the dragon statue, which is kind of weird. Don't know what's going on with that. So then rotate the statue, and all you have to do is just, a sculpture rather, just rotate it until that tail is pointing up, and then this will allow you to progress. I don't think this boss battle is too hard. I suppose, as far as preparation, I don't think there's anything else you need. You just need health, because we have a bunch of bomb flowers in this chamber. There's also like 6 hearts, so you can heal with that. To get any more health, just bring some fairies. Otherwise, you can also bring glittering spores along with bottles, and you can turn the hearts that are in this chamber into fairies with that. So here we have the second boss of the game, the pyroclastic fiend Scaldera. So now as soon as you start, you want to run away, and once it gets back to this little circle on the middle of the floor right here, it'll start slowing down and the fire goes out on it. You want to throw a bomb at it, then chase it back down to the bottom, and then whip out another bomb so you can throw it in its mouth once it starts sucking in. It's about to release some flames. As long as you can get a bomb to it soon enough, it's great. And I will show how to deal with the flames here in a little bit too. But go ahead and smack it after it falls down. It will expose a portion of its armor, and the eye will be exposed. So go ahead and fight it real quick, and then run away from it again. So once again, it gets to about the middle, and then it slows down and stops being on fire. So turn around, you can either throw or roll the bomb, and then chase after it again. Now in this case, my controller got uncalibrated, so it is a little bit awkward. So I was like rolling instead of throwing. As you can see, my sword is like way off to the side. But anyways, this breaks another portion of the armor, and now the eye is exposed again. Now the eye can move back and forth and get behind the armor, and in order to defeat it at that point, you can just wait for it to get back somewhere else, or you can actually use Skyward Strikes as another way of dealing with that. Here I was expecting the boss to come after me. It didn't, though. It started breathing fire instead, so that surprised me. But we need to come back to replenish our bombs anyways. Usually 10 bombs is not quite enough to finish it. You usually need a little bit more than that, so I had 6. Gonna need a little bit more. But you can just dodge back and forth if it starts breathing fire. Again, you have to wait for the fire to stop being on the boss, otherwise it will actually blow up on you. And here I threw a bomb early and it happened to land on it right as it got back up again, so that kind of worked out in my favor. Total coincidence. So chase after it, throw a bomb in its mouth, and this will blow it up, and once again the eye is exposed for a little bit, so keep smacking it, and if it moves over into a protected area, you can either wait for a little bit, and you might even use that opportunity to start charging a Skyward Strike anyways. Now once the boss gets hurt enough, it will actually start getting up on its legs really high like that, and that means it's going to start rolling towards you. So make sure you go in between its legs, don't touch the legs at all, and then wait for it to go up to the top. It'll start rolling towards you. Turn your camera around so you can see that. And then what you have to do is actually lure it. In this case, I lured it off to the left side, and then I hid off to the right instead. So again, whenever the boss does this like standing tall thing, you want to make sure you stand in the middle so the legs don't hit you, and then stand off to either side so that it'll start rolling in that direction. Now you can actually use this opportunity while it's rolling like that to start charging a Skyward Strike, so right now you can actually shoot its eye once before you throw the bomb. That's actually a pretty cool little trick. It's in particular useful in hero mode because you have a longer range on the Skyward Strike, but also it does more damage. So you can actually kill it in fewer phases if you start charging a Skyward Strike every time it's rolling. I suppose the one other, like, more major thing to point out with this boss is if you are at the top of the arena, just be aware that when it shoots flames like that the flames will cause the bomb flowers to blow up. So you do kind of want to hang out. It's like a circle at the top, and so you can hang out on the far left or far right, but just be warned that if you're too close to the bomb flowers, they can explode and you'll take damage from that. So that's just one other thing to be aware of. This is like such an interesting boss battle. We have this long, narrow corridor, and we actually have another boss battle sort of similar to this later in the game, or mini boss battle, I should say. But otherwise, it always reminds me of, like, there's like several bosses in the Zelda series typically where it's just a very narrow platform. Like we have that with the Ghirahim battle in Majora's Mask, and we have that in like the flying stingray battle, whatever those guys are called in Minish Cap in the Temple of the Wind, is also like that, and I think that's very interesting. But this is just a different total concept. I think this is the first time in the Zelda series where we have a long corridor to defeat a boss instead. Anyways, go ahead and grab the heart container, grab the bomb flowers, and then enter the next door to meet up with Zelda at long last. So just like the last dungeon, there is some fairies behind the goddess crest that you can collect with the bug catching net or your bottles. So in case you used up some of those on the boss battle, you can replenish that if you like to. But other than that, I don't think there's anything else of interest in this room. There's no birds, there's no rupees on top of the pillars as far as I know. So we're just done. So go ahead and use your sword to Skyward Strike the goddess crest up ahead. And that concludes this dungeon, folks. So thank you so much for joining me, and meet up with me in the next videos where we will continue on to the next area. Can you use something really stupid? Like... Oh wait, how many apples does it take? There's 9. Okay. Best block ever, apples. Oh my gosh, I hope it doesn't keep doing that. Okay. I was gonna say, if it keeps like doing that cutscene over and over again, it might, dude. Don't keep doing this to me. If it does, I'm gonna go back and put another apple on it. No! Stop! Okay, we need more apples. More apples! I'm out of wood, otherwise I could use that. You're misbehaving. I have to use apples because that's what I started with. Man does not go back on his produce.